This meeting of the Centennial School Board is called to order at 6:32 p.m. on 9/11/2024, and a quorum is present. The meeting agenda has been distributed in board book. Are there any amendments or adjustments needed? Hearing none, the agenda will run as stated. Welcome, everybody, to our first board meeting of the school year. Today is that better? Okay. Today marks 23 years since the September 11th, 2001 terror attacks that forever changed New York City and the nation. Nearly 3,000 people lost their lives during the attacks at the Twin Towers, Pentagon, and aboard the United Airlines Flight 93. Today we honor their memories and stand with the families and friends of those who perished in New York City, Arlington, Virginia, and Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Thank you to the brave first responders, many of whom gave their lives to save victims of the attacks. Thank you to the families, friends, and loved ones who helped those who needed it most. Thank you to those whose hearts were drawn so close in empathy to everyone suffering and in need. We remember you. Can we take a brief moment of silence? Thank you, everyone. So some pretty exciting stuff going on here. Let's see here. We do have some guests to be introduced today. Would you like to introduce some guests?
We do. I like to introduce our school leaders to our board, and we have the opportunity this evening to introduce two of them. They are both joining us virtually, and so hopefully Noah is able to help with displaying the individuals. The first person I'll introduce is Vanessa Crowley. Perfect. Thank you. It is my pleasure, and it looks like, Vanessa, I'm hoping, well, looks like you're still at school unless you've decorated your house to look like school.
I am still at school.
I'm sorry. It's my pleasure to introduce Vanessa Crowley, the new assistant principal at Oliver Middle School, succeeding Diana Mitchell, who assumed the role of principal next door at Park Lane Elementary this year. Vanessa has served in education for 10 years, most recently as an elementary assistant principal in the David Douglas School District. Her experience also includes 7 years as a 5th grade classroom teacher and 1 year as an equity specialist. Vanessa possesses an associate's degree in education from Mount Hood Community College, a Bachelor of Science degree in education from Eastern Oregon University, a Master's of Education from Concordia University, and her principal licensure from George Fox University. So you've gotten a taste of the metro area colleges.
Yes.
Vanessa is passionate about growing and implementing equitable practices for staff, students, and community members through a restorative framework in order to promote social, emotional, and academic success for all students. So please join me in welcoming Vanessa to the Oliver Middle School and Centennial community.
Thank you.
If I've saved anything for you to say, or if there's any fact checking that you want to do based on how I've said it, please feel free now.
Thank you for the welcome. It's really exciting to be in Centennial. Like Superintendent Owen said, I have been 10 years in one district, and so it's been a really big step, but a really welcoming environment to come to a new district, and I've been enjoying it. I got sick our first week of school, though, so that was fun. But this week has kicked off really well. We're doing good things here, and I'm very excited to be a part of the Oliver community and the Centennial School District.
Welcome. We're so excited to have you. Thank you for joining us.
We have a second introduction to make, and I'm noticing that that individual is no longer on the screen.
She was on there and she's gone now.
So I don't see her in attendees. It may make more sense to revisit this later when she's actually here to be introduced rather than just have me read a bio. So, yep, I'll turn it back over to Chair Solowski until we have that figured out.
Appreciate that. So next up, the minutes draft have been distributed in board book. Let's first take the July 10th, 2024 minutes. Um, are there any corrections or additions to the minutes? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and take a vote for approval of minutes.
I move we approve the minutes.
All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye, unanimous. All right, let's look at August 1st minutes. Were there any changes or amendments that need to be addressed from the August 1st minutes? Hearing none, I'll go ahead and ask for a vote.
I move we approve the minutes.
Second.
All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
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 Excellent. Next up is public forum. I do know we have some a public comment this evening. Are we about ready to?
We are. I don't see her under attendees, so I'm waiting to see her place.
She's under Oregon Climate Action.
Okay, great. I will move her over then. Now, if you're ready, Chair Slowski.
Yeah, go ahead and move her over. I do have something I would like to read prior to public comment. So during the public comment section of the agenda, individuals are welcome to share constructive feedback on district operations and programs. If you're interested in addressing the board, the audience participation card must be completed online no later than 5:45. We knew that already. We're here. Statements by members of the public should be concise and will be limited to 3 minutes. The board will not respond to public comment and will refer matters of operations and programming to the superintendent. The board will not hear comments regarding any individual district staff member, and inappropriate language will not be tolerated. Please address your remarks to the chair, not to the board or the public. And again, just to be clear, the purpose of this agenda item is for you, the public, to inform us, the board, about your views. And so I would like to welcome Karen Wolfgang and give you the floor.
Thank you, Chair Skolowski, and hello to the board. I am always pleased to join you in whatever capacity I can, and so maybe I can make more of a habit of doing this public comment style. 3 minutes is about the right fit. But I just wanted to finally bring this to the board. I've been sort of noodling on it since budget season. I am, as you know, a member of the budget committee and didn't, do the closest reading of the budget, evidently, that I could have done while we were actively in conversations, and missed sort of a piece that later came to my attention and has now become really relevant as my kids have entered high school. So what first caught my attention is as I was saying goodbye to the middle school, I spoke to Nurse Brandy, and she mentioned to me that she would only be at the middle school 3 days a week the following year. And I thought, oh goodness, kids like my kids that need to take meds every day at school in order to stay regulated and stay healthy need to have the nurse there every day because they have to take their meds every day. And they frequently have to use the single-user restroom in the nurse's office, et cetera. So it really, caught my attention that we had reduced the amount of hours of our middle school nurse. It has also, now that like I said, kids have ascended both to the high school, have talked to Nurse Sandy at the high school and realized that the constraints on her are similar. She has very limited time and a lot of folks on her caseload. So I obviously don't have an answer to this dilemma. I know I missed an opportunity during budget season to really advocate for this allocation of resources, if at all possible, to keep that staffing up. But if there is any way that Chair Solowski, you, the board, and as you pass this along to the superintendent and the DO, to reconsider allocating resources so that nursing staff can be present in each building each day, that would be really potentially life-saving. I'm aware of one EpiPen administration on the first day of school at the high school due to a chaotic kind of beginning of the year. And we don't want to see that happening, to our kids and to our nursing staff that have to deal with that emotionally, as well as logistically, of course. So my ask of you is to consider if there's any way to allocate resources to everyday nursing. I would, I would so love that. And I'm, of course, open to conversation about how that's impacting my kids or other kids in the community as well, as I hear more. Thank you.
Thank you
And it's
very
good to
much
see
for
you.
joining us today, and I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to share your comments with us. All right. Do we have our guest talk by chance? Okay. We are buzzing right along. I will take a moment to share that this year, one of the things that we are doing differently is we will not be inviting schools in, or we will not be requiring schools to come in and give a full school presentation. This year, we decided that we were going to at least try to do it maybe every other year. The amount of time that it takes is just so great. And so later on today, when we get down to new business, I have a proposal that I'd like to share with you all about student recognition and how we can invite people in for student recognition. So, but up next on our agenda is Superintendent's report. Would you like to take it away, Superintendent Owens?
Yes, thank you, Chair Slawski. All right, greetings board members. It's my pleasure and my privilege to share with you this update about happenings in the district. As you know, school is underway, and there is nothing like the excitement of a first day of school, so it was nice to be able to share in the enthusiasm with staff, parents, and students as I toured each of the district schools this past week. There was extra excitement on the first day when a power outage hit Centennial High School while I was there, lasting a couple of hours. And because of where our servers are housed, that ended up also taking our internet and phones district-wide offline during that time as well. So that was a little chaotic for middle schools as they were introducing new sixth graders in and need synergy to access schedules, and there you go. Then, of course, there were a couple days of extra hot, so that added to another layer as well. But overall, it was a good first week. Here are some more pictures, and these pictures are courtesy of Chief Communications Officer Christine Endrig. I realize we're a bit away from it now, but it's worth noting that we had our convocation on Wednesday, August 28th. This was our second full staff convocation since we were able to modify classified staff calendars to allow for their attendance. It was nice to see Directors Andrews and Lynn, as well as Chair Solowski in attendance as we kicked off the new school year, as well as our second year of our new strategic plan, Roadmap 27. Speaking of our strategic plan, for a brief high-level orientation, this year our work will shift from an emphasis on the Roadmap 27 pillars to an emphasis on the goals that we're trying to accomplish, and you can see those goals up there on the screen. Our focus will sharpen on 4 priority areas that will guide our district and school improvement plans. These focus areas are directly aligned with our 5 goals for student success, which you saw on the previous slide. This year, we will deepen our practices to ensure that every student experiences a sense of belonging. When students feel valued and capable, their academic and personal achievements increase. Literacy remains a cornerstone of our work. We're committed to fostering a community of lifelong learners, critical thinkers, and effective communicators. Our goal is to ensure every student has the foundation to thrive in an increasingly complex world. This year, we will be placing a strong emphasis on using our literacy framework to ensure that every student has the foundational skills they need to succeed. Learning in school depends on regular attendance. Students who feel more connected to school have higher attendance rates, which leads to higher academic outcomes, graduation, and post-secondary success rates. This year, we will focus on strategies to improve attendance, including developing strong relationships with students and families, creating engaging and relevant learning experiences, and providing the support and resources students and families need to overcome barriers to attendance. Engagement is more than showing up. It's about being actively involved in learning. This year, we will be focusing on creating learning conditions and designing experiences so all of our learners are engaged and active in their learning every day. And I know that I said 4, and this is a 5th one, and I'll explain that. As you can see with Goal 5 here on the screen, preparing every student for their future, each strategic plan goal is represented in this year's work. I believe that one of the most exciting parts of Roadmap 27 is the Portrait of a Centennial Graduate, which was developed as a part of the strategic planning process, representing the skills and habits of mind that define learning experiences at school and that students should possess when they graduate. While this is not something that we had the capacity to prioritize in year 1, we will be taking intentional steps to move this forward this year for implementation next year in year 3, so it's a planning phase for this particular element. The process is intended to involve a design team, community and staff forums, and school-based engagement to design pre-K through 12th grade learning experiences to actualize the Portrait of a Centennial Graduate. What this will likely look like is emphasizing certain aspects of the profile at certain grade bands, K2, 3-5, 6-8, 9-12, so on, so that Centennial students are able to experience and engage with all aspects of the profile during their time in Centennial. So the intent here was to provide just a brief orientation, high level, of where our focus is this year for our strategic plan. I'm going to pivot a little bit. As I indicated in my weekly email, homecoming will be here before we know it. This year, it will be held on Friday, October 5th, starting with the annual homecoming parade prior to the varsity football game versus Hillsborough High School. I believe that's Director Sotherson's alma mater.
Hill High? Glencoe.
You,
Yeah, you probably did.
well, I added in
Challenge
Vanessa's Mount Hood Community College experience because I figured you might like that, Vice Chair Shields. You should have already received the calendar invite from Executive Assistant Missy Grindle for homecoming. On Monday, Director of Curriculum and Student Learning Mo Callahan, Chief Andraig, and I had the privilege of welcoming City of Portland leaders to Miss Lampy's first grade music class at Park Lane Elementary School to celebrate Arts and Education Week. This visit highlights the Portland Arts Access Fund, supporting arts education for approximately 30,000 Portland students each year. In Centennial, the Arts Access Fund, commonly known as the Arts Tax, supports the funding of full-time music teachers in each of our district's elementary schools, so it was nice to feature that during this particular week. Yesterday, I attended the Powell Butte Elementary Open House, which included an open house for the newly established preschool pilot site at Powell Butte Elementary, made possible by the Multnomah County Preschool for All funding. This funding provides 30 slots to operate 2 preschool classrooms of 15 students each. I had the chance to see a few preschoolers, their older siblings and parents, meet the teachers, and learn more about the programming from Early Learning Administrator Kendra Hughes, who has been instrumental in getting this program established, as well as the opportunity to talk with a representative from Multnomah County who's supporting the countywide implementation. You can see some cute pictures that Chief Andraig took. This morning, along with Reynolds Superintendent Frank Carpello, Gresham Barlow Superintendent James Hugh, and Government Affairs Administrator Stacy Michelson, I met with Gresham Mayor Travis Stovall and City Manager Eric Schmidt. Mayor Stovall is the middle picture here on the screen. Amongst our topics, we discussed public and school safety, development in the Pleasant Valley area, and overall ways we can enhance our collaboration. We have quarterly meetings scheduled with the mayor, and this was the second such meeting. Circling back to where I started in this report, the first week of school, that doesn't just happen. And just because it's summer doesn't mean that our operations stop. Much work happened over the summer and much preparation has taken place to prepare our staff and students for their return to campus. And each role in the district contributes to the experience, growth, and learning of our students. Whether it's ensuring safe and welcoming physical conditions, providing nourishment, meaningful materials, or facilitating the learning process, as individuals and as members of a collective district community, our cumulative impact can transform the lives of our students. As such, I would like to briefly share about the contributions of our staff across the district this summer. The work and dining services did not stop this summer. They fed children in our community lunches through partnerships with Parks and Recreation and various property management companies in the areas of our district that are the most food insecure. They provided breakfast and lunch at all Centennial summer programs for 3 weeks, and they also upgraded 3 school cafeterias. Please join me in acknowledging the 15 staff who worked this summer to serve over 11,400 lunches and 4,400 breakfasts to our students. Thank you to our custodians and facility staff who worked at their sites across the district to support safe, clean environments conducive to student learning. Some of the notable projects that happened this summer included painting in every classroom in the district, painting common areas in multiple schools, painting in the district office boardroom where you are now, which you may have noticed this evening, including eliminating the cracks in the ceiling that were developing in the corners. Small but important. Seismic upgrades at Powell Butte Elementary, installation of fire alarm systems, new front doors, office cooling systems, and south-facing windows in numerous schools, replacing the CHS kitchen lighting and ceiling, remodeling of the Centennial Virtual Academy physical location, remodeling 5 classrooms in the music room at Patrick Lynch, covered outdoor area for Oliver Middle School, and deep cleaning for all of our schools. So thank you to our maintenance and custodial crew for their work in preparing our schools for learning. You can see some of them on the screen. The transportation department was very busy. This summer they routed and drove summer program routes, reorganized the shop, cleaned the lot, and created a safe walking path, trained and onboarded new employees, and they also hired a new assistant director, Suzanne Cummings. And you can see our great transportation staff and apparently a lifted bus.
You're strong.
They are. I guess, oh, they lifted it. I see. I get it now. I've seen it a few times now. I get it. Takes me a while. Geodes, right? All right. Our IT department had a busy summer as well. Some of their projects included preparing 45 Chromebook carts for grades 3 through 5 and delivering these carts to each elementary school, installing new intercoms and clocks at Butler Creek and Park Lane Elementaries, replacing projectors with interactive flat panels in Centennial Middle School, fulfilling summer print shop orders, replacing the network infrastructure at Pleasant Valley, preparing audio enhancement for 17 kinder and pre-kinder classrooms, and continued setup for the new Synergy data warehouse. So kudos to our IT team. Our office team, consisting of all building and department secretaries in our district, gathered this summer to build community, welcome new team members, and orient to the multifaceted systems and work of managing our offices and departments. And you can see a couple of pictures from that gathering. Our campus safety liaisons, formerly known as security guards, we've changed the name of that position, participated in a week-long professional development and service at Centennial Middle School, led by safety and security lead Neil O'Donnell. It was the first time that they'd noted that they'd been together for professional development, so I know that that was appreciated, and you can see Principal Hubbs here as a part of that. Administrators were hard at work this summer establishing a strong collaborative network, learning about instructional leadership, continuing the work on strategic and school improvement planning, as well as setting up systems and professional learning for the school year. You can see the group here. We had a week-long pre-service or retreat where we built community and did a lot of professional learning together, so kudos to our administrators as well. Almost there. New licensed staff engaged in our annual orientation to the district on August 21st and 22nd. You can see a picture of those folks here. The 2-day sessions involved community building, orientation to the district, information about our use of the Courageous Conversations Compass and Equity Lens, learning how to establish optimal learning environments of belonging, and applying those concepts in planning instruction. All of that in 2 days. So kudos to our new licensed staff. It was a good group to meet. In closing on this portion, starting the school year with intention is important. It's an opportunity to state our purpose and focus, a time to center ourselves on what matters, knowing there are many details to attend to support that work. It's also a time to recognize that each person in our district is engaged in critical work, and together we can make a fundamental difference in the lives of our students and their futures. Our students' learning is a cumulative product of many moments that are facilitated and influenced by our collective efforts. We are Centennial, and the impact that we can have on the lives of our students depends on our strength in community and how collectively we work toward a common purpose and build a sense of belonging so we can be our best selves and engage in our best work. Finally, I'm going to hit a hard left here. On a final note, as you know, the board receives regular enrollment and class size reports. Obviously, it is necessary for staffing to be assigned well in advance of the arrival of students in the fall. And for that reason, each spring the district goes through a process of projecting enrollment and class sizes and assigning FTE or teachers for the following school year based on the projections that we make in the spring. Of course, these projections are best guess predictions, and unfortunately, students don't travel between grades in neat groups of 25. So there can be differences between the numbers projected and the reality that happens in the fall. Some preliminarily good news is that you will see in the student count this evening in the consent agenda or confirmation items is that the current enrollment is exceeding our expected average daily membership for the year by 185 students district-wide, at least on paper at this point, which I'll explain momentarily. Director of Business and Operations Paul Southerton and Assistant Superintendent Dr. Katsuda and I have met a few times before and after the start of the school year for a preliminary review of class size data to examine the need for any staffing adjustments. To date, we have not made any. In keeping with our normal process, in mid-September, following the 10th day of school, we will do a detailed examination of class sizes across the district to determine if any adjustments need to be made. I mentioned the 10th day of school because each year some students are registered with us but don't actually end up attending, and this could happen because they moved, but maybe their family didn't notify the school and their records have not been requested by the new school where they've enrolled. And this process is known, the process for this is a readjustment of enrollment figures after the 10th day of school, known as the 10-day drop, which is a statewide process. It's not a Centennial specific one. All of that is to say is that September numbers are usually the high point of the year, and as things settle over the next couple of weeks, we'll have a better idea of the average class size and enrollment levels, and we'll be taking a closer look at the actual enrollment here shortly, making any decisions as to adjustments that need to be made. And as you can see in that report, there are several areas that we're keeping our eye on. I know specifically Vice Chair Shields had mentioned class size report as something that she wanted me to touch on this evening, so I wanted to make sure to provide that information for you. And with all of that, I invite any questions or comments you might have, and that concludes my superintendent's report.
Thank you very much, Superintendent Owen. Do we have questions? Yes, please, Director Lynn.
Yeah, I wanted to ask a little bit about the preschool.
Yeah.
Is that all full? Did that fill up really quickly?
I'm going to call Director Callahan up to see what she knows, put her in the hot seat as well. I would say just based on what I heard, and I don't want to misspeak, so I'll just say what I remember, is that we have 30 slots, that within the county there are about 2,000 slots across the county. The demand for slots was about 2,500 or so, and so the demand overall is exceeding the supply of seats that are available, and so that's why it's going to be important that there's expansion over time. As far as our 30 seats, there are, I believe, a classroom with 13 instead of 15 students, and we have a wait list, I believe, of 30 students who are on the wait list to get in. And so, like I just spoke about in terms of the class size report, there were students who were registered to attend but just haven't come yet, and it is the first week for that. And so once they balance out that that student indeed will not attend, they'll open up that spot for another student who is on that 30 student wait list, if that makes sense. I don't know what you've talked with Kendra about and how accurate. That was just the side conversations I was having last night when I was with her at the preschool classroom.
Yep. Kendra and I talk quite often about preschool, and unfortunately she is the expert, but I will do the best I can. Are there specific questions about the enrollment piece or about program?
It was about whether
it.
all the seats are occupied,
Yes.
as I understand it.
We do anticipate all the seats to be occupied, for sure. And it was this time last year that we had to apply for the program, and that really, she spent the year building this. And so we're looking forward to continue to build.
So 30 slots, and if nothing changes, 30 on a wait list. And is this just Powell Butte families, or is this different?
Those are the families, as I understand it, those are the families for the Powell Butte slot
Yeah.
because they're in that particular catchment. And so they would be eligible for Centennial because of where they live. And Centennial's slots are at Powell Butte at this point.
Yeah.
And so we'll be looking to expand programming in future years, but that's what we were awarded for
The-
this year.
There is a coordinated effort, though, with the MESD, who's really looking at the whole breadth of the region and whatnot.
Denise, if you have information,
There we go.
here you go.
So back to the catchment question. They did look at a larger catchment area than just Pal Butte. So there was consideration that went into this. And MESD is involved, and because these are preschool for all slots, this all goes through a process at the county level. So there was wide advertisement that went really far. And so families had to go through a process to go through that enrollment to get through slots. And so then they pare everything down to make sure the Centennial families were matched in a Centennial preschool.
Okay, great. Yeah, I'm just trying to get a sense of what's the need versus what are we meeting so far in the program.
I agree with you. In an ideal world, in a perfect world that I envision here, hopefully sooner than later, we can accommodate all of the need because that's important. We had a family come through last night, and the teacher leaned over and told us that they're not in the program, they're on the wait list, but they were so interested in the programming that they wanted to come to the open house and see it anyway.
Is it a fair estimate to say 50 families at elementary school?
Ask that question
Looking
again.
for- Is it about 50 families per elementary school looking for preschool slots?
Unknown.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. That's a big.
Yeah, I don't know, and I'd say that's a complicated question, and Denise and Mo have more expertise. But it's not only that, but we have the slots that we provide as a district through the grant, and we also have other preschool offerings in the district that are not district preschools. And so what preschool looks like can look different in different places, and I don't know if you can broaden what I was just introducing as a concept.
Right? This is why Mo and I partner around preschool, and we're so happy that Kendra's here. So something that's really significant for preschooling options that is been a part of the county work for a really long time is really thinking about family choice and recognizing that that early learning can look a lot of different ways. So with the preschool for all dollars, those dollars can go to in-home care, they can go to big centers, they can go to neighborhood sites, they can go to a family down the street if they're running a program, and they can go to school programs because they really want families to think about what makes sense for them, both within their family structure, culturally, so they offer a wide variety of options. And so those are conversations that happen as a part of applying for preschool for all slots. And then as the Centennial School District, as Superintendent Owens was saying, we have a couple other programs in district. So at Centennial High School for years and years and years, we've had the Little Eagles Preschool, and that is a partnership that's actually early learning opportunities and childcare learning opportunities for our high school students that they earn CTE credits and go through that experience. It's partnered with Eastern Oregon University, and so there's a really strong connection there. And so we have Stacy Fleck, who has run that program for a really long time. So we have individual families and students who are mostly Centennial students who attend there. And then we also have at Butler Creek, we have a program that is called the LEAP Classroom, and it's in partnership with Multnomah County Multnomah County Early Childhood Services. And about 50% of those students experience disability, and about 50% of those students are typically developing peers, and they're in partnership, and they're in the Butler Creek program. Mhm. Yeah.
Can I ask one more
Yeah.
question that just came to me? When we talk about the preschool at the high school, are there spots for either staff kids or any teen parents that have children at that age range?
So for our teen parents in the district, we offer the, it's one of the sweetest spots in the whole district if you haven't viewed it before. So it's the Child Care Center, and so it's adjacent to the preschool,
Okay.
and that is for students who are 0 to 2, and that's in coordination with statewide requirements that it's 0 to 2. And so that is reserved for only our teen parents are in there. And then many of those students transition into the Little Eagles preschool. And Kendra has been working with the state because there's a gap in age range of who can go into the Child Care Center and then who can go to preschool. And so she's really trying to work through those barriers because that has an impact for our teen parents. And there have been some staff who have their students go to the preschool, but typically there's enough family need in the community that they typically fill it. And it's been like 2.5 hours, which usually doesn't work with staff schedules. And that's been a conversation that they have, but it fills up with community students. Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah. Right. It's so fun. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Mhm.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Are there other questions for Superintendent Owens at this time? Director Stanley? Or sorry, not Director Stanley. Shields.
We look, whatever. Arts tax. Have we had any more issues about getting our share?
Have we had issues with getting our share?
No? Okay. Because, we sometimes have that issue about we belong to Gresham, we belong to Portland, and so, but that's.
Well, my understanding is that they also, and I don't want to steal, I quickly sometimes can get out of my depth as I do the hand wave.
Rotating hot seat.
Hey, I can't know it all. I've got to lean on my supports. But my understanding is that our arts tax is allowed to be spent across our schools, or even though some of our schools are not in Portland.
Yeah.
Am I correct, Director Southerton?
Yes, it's based on the residence of our students in those K through 5 grade levels. So in all our schools, be it Pleasant Valley, Butler Creek, or schools that are in Portland otherwise, have students that reside within Portland proper. And so we do an equal allocation across our districts because we see a fairly equal allocation of our students across all our elementary schools.
And it may have been something that was in its early days because we are that district that is on the borders of both, so it's a little confusing, I think, sometimes. The other question, I have 2 more questions. I saw in one of your Friday reports, whatever, about access to immunizations, things of that nature. Are we looking at what COVID and new surges, is there anything that we should be aware of that's coming our way with COVID issues?
I saw the measles email. Did you see the measles email?
Yeah,
Measles.
Chief Andreg and Director Wright were working together on the measles email in coordination with MESD.
What should we be helping people understand? What should we be doing? Like, when's the new COVID
We're going to start
shot
calling this
out?
the cabinet report instead of the superintendent's report.
Exactly. I'm looking at, information that is coming to us from the state and thinking about our partners with the county. So any family in Multnomah County can access any of the school-based health centers. And so while we have one at Centennial High School, we have many families that live at near Park Lane or Oliver. They can access David Douglas's site, and that site's actually closer
That's
to
why.
them. We also have families that live in the north that the Reynolds one might be closer to them. So that is one beautiful thing about Multnomah County and the student health centers that are accessible to families across the county. So we want to continue to inform families about that. We haven't gotten specific updates, and I'm going to look at Christine, around any additional information to push out around COVID vaccinations, but the state and the county is focusing on the measles information just because of the huge impact and potential around that. So information's been going out, and then we will be, via Christine, we'll be sending out updated information just around health in general and how that ties to absenteeism and what families can look for around the exclusions to make sure that if your child has any of these symptoms, please keep them at home. You can always contact the nurse for more information, and if not, we want them to be at school and safe. So, yeah.
Thank you. I mean, it's fall, right? And we're coming together and things happen because it's fall. So, you know, and switch.
Just as a footnote to that, we also very intentionally included the symptom-based exclusion chart in all available languages in that measles letter that went out, as just kind of an add-on to the measles information so that families also have access to what we as a district would be using for school exclusion across all illnesses. So we're going to be rolling out pieces of information related to health in a number of different ways, and that was kind of our first push out of that chart, and then we're going to be doing some school newsletter level items as well. Just continuing to keep it on everyone's radar so that we all have the same information.
Good, perfect.
That was very thorough. Thank you very much.
Last question. Air conditioning in schools. We're going to push it as a legislative issue.
Let's have Director Southerton come
Yeah,
back
let's
up.
go. That's Dr.
I was hoping that maybe Principal Miller or Dr. Katsuda might have a question they could field as well.
Yeah,
Since they're here.
for those of you with bingo cards, you're missing at least two people. So.
Should I have a question?
Oh, okay.
Good, we'll get to one.
So yes, absolutely, we would appreciate as much help as we can get. So legislature of support, the Portland Clean Energy Fund, and any other sources of support to have air conditioning in the schools. We're pursuing all options.
We're looking at options to do some ourselves, but to be able to do it comprehensively across the district, and Director Southerton and I were just having this conversation yesterday, would be in the neighborhood of $5 to $10 million. I don't know if that's a fair out loud assessment to make, but that's what we were talking about, and that's spendy.
Yeah, and this board and the Bond Oversight Committee and others have recognized the importance of it, and we've added air conditioning at numerous classrooms in recent years, more so than we have in the history of this district. So be it the 20 classrooms at Centennial Middle School, the 7 classrooms at each of our elementary schools, and otherwise, it is definitely something that we're not caught flat-footed on, or something that we haven't been considering. It's been something that this body and others have been working on for years as funding's become available. So it's a need, and we appreciate others now coming to the table with additional support and resources potentially so we can take that district-wide.
Do you think it will reach a legislative, a grant program, something of that nature, where school districts will be applying for funds to upgrade our facilities based on even where we may be?
I'm hopeful. Yeah, we definitely see movement on it at the state level. So we see Governor Kotek supporting ODE, and for the first time, to my knowledge, they're committed to doing a complete facility assessment across the state of all 197 school districts and all the facilities. The first time, to my knowledge, that they've actually deployed the resources necessary to do that assessment and kind of quantify what kind of investment is needed across the state to bring all facilities up to a common level. I think they're also exploring additional funding for capital improvements, such as our neighbors to the north. Washington has school modernization fund in addition to bonds and other things. So I'm encouraged by the rallying of support behind it, the collaborative advocacy for it that we're seeing now. I think it's helpful that it has more attention than ever, the needs of our students. And, Oregon has been taking proactive steps in a lot of ways in recent states. Again, be it the Portland Clean Energy Fund or other aspects going on. So I think there is more likelihood of that happening in the future than there has been in the recent past.
Do we have anything currently before the Portland Clean Energy Fund?
Yes, we are part of a consortium with East County school districts applying for additional resources. The Portland Clean Energy Fund, you may recall, brought in additional resources, more resources than they were expecting with the passage of that tax. And so we're part of an additional application process, which could potentially double our allocation from the fund for building
Fantastic.
improvements. Yeah.
I know my organization, we're also waiting to hear from the Portland Clean Energy Fund. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you.
In essence of time, I'm going to table something for later, but I do want to say the convocation is always super fun. And if you ever want a board cheer, I think that we might be able to represent.
To coordinate us, and then.
A board cheer.
Yes, I know. That's why I was like, it has, Anyway.
The dressing up in the costumes was really fun.
yeah. It's always fun to watch. Excellent. So before we move on, we do have our guest back. And so I would like to turn it back over to Superintendent Owens to introduce our guest.
Great. And Noah, hopefully you can. Perfect. Thank you so much. Arthi, thank you for bearing with us and sticking with it here. Appreciate you being here. It's my pleasure to introduce you to Arthi Ramkrishna, the new assistant principal of Centennial Middle School. Arthi joins our district with over 17 years of experience in education, most recently serving as an interim assistant principal at Banks Middle School. Her career in education includes roles as preschool and kindergarten teacher, instructional coach, curriculum lead, and equity facilitator. Arthi earned a master's degree in communication from the University of Hyderabad in Hyderabad, India, a master's in education with ESOL endorsement from Portland State University, and a master's in education administration with principal's license from George Fox University. Born and raised in India, Arthi is fluent in 7 languages and is just starting to learn Spanish as her 8th. She is a book lover and a speed reader, amongst other hobbies. Please join me in welcoming Arthi to the Centennial Middle School and Centennial community. And same to you. If there's anything that you'd like to share beyond what I've shared here, or any record that you'd like to correct from anything I might have missed here, that would be, you're welcome to do that.
No, thank you. That was perfect. I just want to say I'm so very glad to be at Centennial. It has been a wonderful month getting to know all my staff and coworkers and the children and families, and I am really, really glad to be here. And in a happy coincidence, just after Paul and Superintendent Owen spoke about air conditioning, I am one of the APs at CMS. And we were one school that had to have early release. But I'm hoping that Governor Kotak does actually do what Mr. Southerton is hoping. But other than that, just really, really happy to be part of Centennial and looking forward to getting to know everybody and collaborating and moving our district forward.
Thank you so much. We're excited to have you here. Thank you, Arthi. On that note, let's go ahead and look at our confirmation items.
I move that we approve the confirmation items as listed.
Second.
All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
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 The ayes have it. We have approved the confirmation items. We will now take a 10-minute break. We'll reconvene in 10 minutes at 7:30. Thank you.
Recording stopped. Recording in progress.
All right, the Centennial School Board meeting is back. Thank you for your patience with us. We have just a few more items, I believe, for this evening. There are no old business items. Is that correct? Fantastic. Under new business, 7.2.1, we were invited to nominate anyone for the OSBA Board of Directors. Here's the hard thing, is that their board meetings are exactly the same date and time as ours. So at this point, is there anyone, I mean, like, it would be hard pressed to feel like we could nominate anyone for that. Does anyone have any difference of opinion before? I know. No. And maybe that can be something that we look at in the future as far as adjusting meetings so that folks can take advantage of that opportunity. Okay, so student recommendation. So think of, let's see, how am I going to explain this really well? As we're not having the schools coming in and participating in the board meeting, one of the things that I really liked, and I believe that as a board we all really liked, was just the interaction with the folks, getting to hear what's happening in the school, some successes going on. And so my idea is that anyone can nominate a student or a school or someone to be recognized at a board meeting. It would be similar to the format of public comment, where there's a form that would get submitted. We haven't worked all this out yet because this is just the idea. Maybe like each, we figure that out. It would get submitted at a certain point, and then people could come either in Zoom or in person and recognize whoever they would like to recognize in the district for, for a few minutes at the introduction of guests area. Please.
Comments? Okay. Thank you. I love the idea of having it be students. I would like to have a yes and
Please.
Offering to you. When a high schooler or middle schooler, even at elementary level, when they compete in many sports events, art, they have robotics, they have music competitions, they have chess competitions, and they're usually sort of recognized on a state or regional level. I would like those kids to automatically have an invitation to be recognized at a school board meeting, not need to be nominated. If we have a high school student who goes to speech and debate competition in places in state, I think they deserve to be recognized. And I'd like to see us do that in a well-rounded way where we look at the clubs and organizations and then, in addition to, have these nomination forms. But it's a big deal.
Yeah.
And could really be a memory maker for a child and their family, and their families would be in here, in these chairs, or on the computer and be a part of it directly as well. So that's my offering.
I appreciate that. Thank you. And yeah, this is the time. I'd love to hear your comments, and also if you have other ideas. Like, I really feel like if we are not going to be hearing from each of the schools, like, how else can we get, what are pieces of that you liked that you would like to see us somehow work in? Dr. Andrews.
So I'm going to reveal my lack of memory on this. I know it's not a dashboard. What is it going to be on the strategic plan? Where we get a report, that there's going to be a report on our progress.
All right, we have an opportunity for Dr. Katsuda to field the question.
Well, I don't, yeah, okay, so, but I'm hopeful that that will provide the data about the schools that we would have gotten individually, and it'll be at the same time and a cross-sectional view of that data so that we can compare, and hopefully there will also be anecdotal information, like if attendance is doing really well at a particular school, what is working, right? That's, anyway.
So there will be a district level dashboard with high level data points that we've selected here as a cabinet with your input. And then each school has data that the cabinet will have an opportunity to look at. It's the same data that the schools will be looking at, and it is at your will or at your desire, because it'll be pretty detailed data, but it'll be accessible and available to the board, so you can actually see the monitoring points every term based on the goals they set around attendance and all those things that you had mentioned.
So I'm hoping that one of our work sessions about the time that that dashboard is produced, we'll be able to devote maybe an hour to it and asking questions, and if things are highlighted, do we want to ask some principals to be available online, or that sort of thing, if there are things that we would like to know more about.
That's something for us to consider, how we want to organize that so it's efficient and effective use of your time and theirs. There are a variety of ways we could approach that, but open to some opportunity to discuss that further. Yeah.
But I think that that's one of the ways that we can get and understand school by school information without having to have everybody show up and have a presentation.
Yeah.
But that doesn't give us the direct communication with the staff or anything like that.
Right. That's perfect. Thank you for bringing that up. That was something that we had talked about with the proposal too, was that there's other ways that we could get that data in a more efficient manner. So I think it's great. Director Shields, or Vice Chair Shields.
Director Andrews just kind of piqued that part of what we might be missing by not having the schools do the reports, and which we don't want to miss because we're responsible for it. Is that but and that we're supposed to do? Yes, and. Definitely lower the barriers for having an opportunity to acknowledge students for what they've achieved. I think that's really great. Superintendent Owens highlighted in the report our goals. Are we going to have schools report in a quarterly fashion or at a trimester fashion how things are going as it relates to each of those goals? And again, not bringing every school or every principal up in front of us, but just a way of acknowledging, hey, these are the kinds of activities, as we talked about in terms of attendance. Oh, you've been doing these kind of activities and they've been successful. Anything that enhances our understanding of how the goals are being addressed and put to action in the schools. Is that another way of getting information back and not necessarily have everybody coming?
Is that what happens at the data summits?
Yeah, I was going to offer that that's a component of the data summits, and also our ongoing administrative meetings that we have on Tuesdays. They operate essentially as a PLC, sharing ideas based on data and who's getting better performance. And that's something we're continuing to refine is our school administrators' ability to collaborate around that so that we can share practice. Dr. Katsura, do you want to share any more insight?
Yeah, I was thinking about the data summits as well. The objective of the data summits is set up such that school leadership teams come together to look at the data, problem solve around the data, and collectively collaborate to plan revisions to their school improvement plan actions, right? So it would tweak the purpose of the data summit if board members came to that, and at the same time, there's flexibility to the data summit, so there might be aspects of that. I don't know if we open some of that up to the board, where when schools do their final report out to the whole group, boards are welcome to come to witness that. There may be some other opportunities that are a little bit more consolidated and compacted, with administrators coming to present a few minutes on their progress. So there's opportunities for us to consider how we want to do that. Just want to be mindful of your how you receive that, and whether or not that information is going to be meaningful to your work as a board.
Yeah.
We don't want to also saturate you with data to where
Well, and we
those
have
reports have no meaning. So yeah.
we have a principal here, Principal Miller, and I
Yes.
know that
Oh, here we go.
he hasn't had a chance at
Oh,
the
yes,
mic, and I
come
don't know
on,
if he has
sit
any.
next to me.
Prepare the bench.
What do you think about the high school, and as a high school rep, what do you think about principals coming
Yeah,
to
what do
a
you
board
think
meeting?
about the format for how information about how the school performance is happening could be shared with the board in a meaningful way?
I really like this suggestion of recognizing. I think that's very good. I also appreciate the additional suggestion of making sure that if somebody is recognized on the state level, that's automatically brought to the board. I thought that was very good. It's more, what is it that you want as a board, and what's the information? That's always been the hardest part, board to school. I know sometimes you've tried to go around to different schools and then hold the board meeting there to connect in different ways. I enjoy the presentations, but it's also, they're also time consuming. And so that's the push and pull here as a principal. And I want to give you the information, and then I also enjoy the interactions. So I am sort of neutral on this whole thing.
Yes, please.
I seem to recall we were discussing this a little bit in August, and I want to revisit the idea of that one night of where it's like the school board open house, right? So it's an additional time that we would all have to block out of our schedule, but if all the schools are, or 2 nights, we have a lot of schools, if it's something where it's like, oh, we're going to have an hour and a half in February for these 6 schools and an hour and a half in May for these 6 schools, and you're each going to get 15 minutes, and we're at the high school, which is the end game for all of our students. Like, could we have an ongoing conversation of where some school reports or school activities are that way, streamline the dashboard system so that it's not inundating us with 400 percentages of various things, but specific targeted goals that we have talked about as a board that we want to see, and ensure that we are recognizing our students who are supposed to be the heart of everything that we're doing. Is there a way to have a delicious menu of opportunities that people get to choose from? And again, getting our community into our high school is really important. They could have information for the health center could be out at that same time. There's just a lot of reasons to get families into the high school. So it could be something worth considering, looking at that structure as well.
I think that's great. I think that this might be a really good topic for our first board coffees to really kind of dig into and see. That way, you'll be able to really get ask each individual board member what kind of data they want, and then we can put together some sort of a plan from there. Dr. Lynn.
Add a little bit. I love the conversation. I've just been suggesting a couple times maybe a picnic, something also to invite our PTOs to, so that we can also talk with some of the PTOs in our schools too.
I think that's great.
Just a question about those kind of activities. We now have newer requirements for public meetings. If it's a informal gathering where we all are, that's a different thing than data sharing per se. So I think we have to be careful, because we have to then make sure we're recording it, et cetera, if it's an official board meeting. So how that impacts staffing and the done. And the reason why I bring it up is because we tried this to go to different schools, and it was difficult to move us around. But if it were an informal gathering of some sort, where all of us are, but we're not taking any action, it just happens to be there. No deliberation. met, and they were doing. It's like, no, we met because we met the community. We wanted to hear from students. We wanted to have a sharing opportunity. We weren't having a meeting. We were having a sharing of who and what our community is, who our students are. So, be careful.
Thank you. And I do believe that does bring up another point. Looking over at Missy, I believe we're going to have some sort of education coming up this fall around the public meeting
Yes, I offered a
changes.
date with the Oregon Ethics Commission in February work session. I'm
Okay.
waiting to hear back from them to confirm
Okay.
that they can do an in-person meeting or virtual meeting.
Excellent. Director Lynn?
Can you confirm if I have to do that for my job? I don't have to do that for the school board again. I'm pretty sure it's the exact same trip.
Public meeting law.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you. Excellent. Well, I really appreciate you guys chatting and coming up with some ideas. I think this is really important, and every year we can, take what we learned from the last year and move forward and do it a little bit better. And you're not totally off the hook. Maybe next year we'll revisit those reports, because it is nice. All right. Screen board vacancy applications. So, just what I'd like us to do at this point in the board book, we posted the questions that we have asked previously. I'm curious if there were thoughts to those questions, if they were appropriate, are we asking something, are we missing asking something? Are you gonna pull them up here? Awesome, thank you.
And everybody has met the basic qualifications, living in the district for a year or more, and they're in the district, and all of that has been verified, so we're not thinking of any of that stuff.
Yes.
You answer yes, but sometimes you've been on the border and it's in like, so I just wanted to clarify that we've done it.
Excellent. Oh, now you're coming back into Zoom. It's very excited to see the amount of applications that we had. Yes, please do.
The first question is, why did you decide to apply for this position? What skills and or expertise will you bring to the table?
Okay. Yeah, that's an important question.
Second two and all. From your research, what is your understanding of a school board's basic duties and responsibilities?
Oh, that's so little. Okay. Question 3. The information you previously received outlined the commitments of the board through the spring of 2025. To what degree will you be able to participate? Are there any limitations you might experience that may interfere with fully participating on the board? And question 4. What are the 2 most critical issues currently facing our school district, and what is the basis of your thinking?
I think that those, gotta get at the stuff. Go ahead.
Just when you read question 4, what are 2 most critical issues currently facing your school? It's a belief statement rather than a, right? So, what do you think? Yeah, what do you think and what do you believe?
Yes.
Are the 2 most critical issues currently facing this, because we.
It's an opinion question.
Yeah.
Yep. Did you catch that? Thank you. Yep.
And could we ask what the sensitive?
Yeah, good question. Well, it was improved because we had some help from Chief Andreg. Can you come up and share with us a little bit about what you provided to as the cover sheet?
We added.
We added a
there
cover
was-
sheet.
Yeah, we created a cover sheet that went with the digital application. So, and we set it up as in the PDF where it was like the first page. You had to scroll through the information to get to the application. And so it included the dates of all scheduled board meetings. I kind of riffing here because I don't remember the exact wording, but I think there was just a general line about and additional activities, events, something like kind of, suggesting like it'll be these set meetings, but, there's also opportunities for things like homecoming and those types of events. So trying to have a realistic sense within the application document itself of what some of the obligations would be, so that hopefully everybody applying has read that document as well.
Did it, do you remember if it included budget meetings, because that gets to be a challenge for some of us?
I'm looking at Missy.
It did.
It
did,
okay.
yeah.
It did, yes.
Good. I mean, that's because they're
Yeah.
dual responsibilities.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's not as understood.
From your perspective, being the most recent person through the process, do you have any additions or things? Yes, please.
I think at question 5 that would have been nice for me to be able to voice when I was interviewing with everybody would have been a question like, what supports would you need from our current board and superintendent to help your transition into the board should you be selected? Because it came across feeling like I really needed to know what I was doing, and I bet you I didn't. And so it just overtly gives permission for somebody to say, I don't understand how Robert's Rules of Order work. I'm going to need some help with that. Or I need you to redirect me to where a website would be that I can understand the roles and responsibilities a little more. I think when you freely give people permission to ask for the help they'll need, they are more inclined to ask for it, as opposed to feeling like they have to figure it out by themselves and frantically texting any executive assistants that might be available to them at all times.
Thank you, Ms. Grindle. Mrs. Grindle, I don't know. Wonderful addition. I think that's great.
The only other thing I would add, but it's pretty where you were, and that's the form itself that we're using. Some of our people who filled out the application took the opportunity to expand on their yes or their no answer. I would ask that the form be in the future with, answer yes or no and explain why. We already did have somebody do that, so it gives me a little bit more information about it. But the way the form was written, it kind of implies, you can just say yes, no, and then we're happy to wonder about it. So, yes
Yeah.
or no, and explain why.
I think that when you create a document like this, you can make them say, like, these answers are required.
Yeah.
And I think that that also would be very helpful because it forces you to pause. Like, I made the decision really quickly to fill it out. Before I chicken out, I fill it out and I submit it.
Mhm.
Then I ran for election. It's weird. But it will make you stop and, oh, why? Why did I say yes to that? And actually put a little bit there and maybe allow just a little bit more of that think time to really decide, do I want to complete this document and
Yeah.
fill it out? Just,
Wonderful feedback.
Chief Andreg, did any of the material that went out include information on running for election this spring?
I don't believe so, no.
Because I think we should have a statement, not a question, but a statement about the fact that if you're selected or if you're not selected, we are going to have at least 2 vacancies up for election, and the process to, apply is going to be this, and this.
Yeah. I
And
think-
so don't be discouraged if you're not selected this time, or even if you are,
Know
you know.
that. I think that's good.
Yeah.
These are the opportunities to serve, and including the budget committee.
Yes, we should also talk about the budget committee
Because
vacancies.
budget committee members and
Yep.
I think careful wording, like, should you find that this is something you are inclined to pursue, here's your next steps. Or here's
Very
what would
good.
happen. But again, it's really overwhelming stepping into an existing board. And I got to one meeting and somebody asked me if I was going to run for election. And that was really overwhelming. So just keeping that in mind as well, I think, would be smart.
Thank you.
To your point, though, when you are filling a position, there is the quote leg up.
Sure, I wasn't going to run for election. I was very much not going to. And it was very off-putting to immediately be like, you're gonna run for election now? And that was a little jarring. And so it made me think about it and reflect. I'm not saying not to include a statement. What I'm saying is to phrase it in a way that allows someone to actually feel like they are making a choice, where it's, if this feels like something you are committed to doing, or you would like to continue impacting your community, informing decisions that are made in the district, I'm not saying not include anything. You asked for my perspective as your newest
Yep.
board member who came in exactly this way.
Yep.
I think it's just a mindful moment opportunity where you're not feeling like you're jumping on somebody, particularly if we get somebody who really understands a lot about how schools work. It is very tempting to be like, hey, you want to stay? Like, so I think it's just being mindful that deciding to do it for 6 months is not the same as deciding to do it for 2 years or 4 years. That is all I'm offering.
I appreciate that.
On the education piece, when we're inviting these people to come for an interview, is that correct?
Yes.
So in the invitation, one of the things that we could use in terms of helping inform them if they would like to prepare for, and the questions are going to be public, and this board meeting is public, the resources OSBA has. It's very detailed about what it is to be a board member. It's very deep. And so anybody who wants to be better informed is going to show up here for an interview. But they may not even know that there's such a thing as a school board association and that resource exists. So if we could provide that for them in the invitation, this is an additional resource for the preparation. Because we know that we've had people who have gotten here and then went, oh, that's what it is? Maybe not. And I appreciate what what are you, Chief Operating Officer? What's that name?
Communications.
Communications, there's that name. Providing all what you did beforehand was important. So at least they have that awareness, but I think they become even more aware.
Great. I would also ask that, even though it has been posted in Board Book, that in the invitations, we also send folks the questions ahead of time. Excellent. Anything else? Oh, yes. I think that makes most sense. It will be a virtual work session. The 25th.
For the deliberation process?
So, I'm trying to remember. Did we take that into executive session, or did we do that in open session? It was a ballot, though. Oh, yeah.
Well,
Okay.
That's the kind of thing. I would appreciate if that process, because it's going to be on Zoom, that process be clarified.
Yes.
We know what we're doing, so we don't like we don't know what we're doing. And then, like it's coming out, it's like the next person, maybe you don't want to have everybody in the room at the same, do you want everybody in the room at the same time? All those kind of questions.
Perfect. Yeah.
Clarification, all that.
We have an established process documented that we will be following, so we will make sure that that gets sent out to everyone to prepare ahead of time. I did it virtual, like, that's how I came on before we had come. I came on mid-year too. No, it was still, we hadn't come back from pandemic times yet. Everything was virtual when I started. Yes.
And that our applicants are aware,
Yeah. Yeah. Great. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah. That's true. Okay. More to come. Future agenda items.
I don't have much. You have board member interviews. I'm assuming based on this discussion that we're moving all 4 applications forward for interviews.
They met all of the basic criteria, so I'd like to move all forward, yes.
And a few policies.
Yes?
Let's talk about off and away on cell phones.
You know what, I will have to say, I noticed, because I've been paying attention, there's only one cell phone. Oh, David's is out now, but it was away earlier. There was, like, we all had our cell phones off and away, and I was noticing, I'm like, look at us. But continue.
We brought it up. It's one of my concerns. We had a start of a discussion. I believe that our staff and our principals are looking at how they're going to manage that without specific, yonder pouches and other kinds of things. That the off and away is going to be the start of this year. But yeah, either you as our superintendent, Mr. Owens, or our principals in our middle schools and our high school, I would like to at least have them speak to that, how it's going, because the inconsistency of the policy that has been in existence is the problem, and if we aren't applying it in a consistent manner, and what I mean by that is, just as you were saying, Chair Slavsky, mine is off and away, right? And so I should be modeling what I am, my expectation is going to be happening in our schools. How does that affect our staff in each of our buildings? And I've been reading, as you have been too, all of these articles that are coming about and how students are feeling about it. And I know we're going to be moving forward and thinking about it, but I just would like to know the first couple of weeks of school we will have under our belt by our next meeting. So let's have a conversation.
Yeah, so what I would say to that is I appreciate you bringing that up. After our August retreat, our board leadership and myself met to talk through how we wanted to handle next steps. When we talked about having that topic on the October 9th meeting. And so Principal Miller, if he's checked his email this afternoon, saw that I sent an email saying we would like for all of our secondary administrators to be present at that meeting so that we can learn how that procedure is going now that we have enhanced focus on off and away policy, and that is in handbooks and is something that is being explicitly shared with students. And I think students are aware of what's going on in other districts as well. So I think the October 9th meeting will give us a good opportunity to know how things have gone the first 3 or 4 weeks of school. So if you're okay, that's the way that we've organized it, and we can do it then. Yep.
Would that be also something that our student representatives are going to be, I know we're going to be working with students, and there's going to be conversations and surveys and things of that nature. This is going to be a well thought out process and plan. But are we inserting our board student representatives in this, or are we going to keep it more global?
I would say that that's the prerogative of the board, and I would say that it, just based on what you're saying, is that it might be smart for us to have this topic as our, maybe our first report on the agenda so that we have our student reps, if that's how you want to handle it collectively, is have the student input alongside the administrator input onto that topic, rather than dealing with it in old or new business.
That's great. future business items? How about anything for the good of the order? Going once, going twice. Oh, yeah, I knew it.
September 28th, the Neighborhood Association and the Neighborhood Emergency Team is having first aid training available. Park Lane Church, there's 2 sessions you can sign up for. It's $25.
Great.
I'll be going Wednesday, or Thursday, excuse me, tomorrow to the watershed planning process that's going on at Beach, well, they're meeting at Beach Gardens, and so I will be attending that. And I could just type up something when I get back. unless
Great.
there are others going. Yes, 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 yes. So, okay, then I'll
Have steak fry tickets if anyone wants to go to the steak fry. I didn't get a lot of takers via email. Nevertheless, I've got in my hot hand here steak fry tickets, so come see me if you want one.
I have one good of the order. You all got your sporting event cards. I was at the high school football game on last Friday. Last night I was at the volleyball game. Man, our kids, it's super exciting and fun to watch. And those girl volleyball players are fierce. So I recommend taking advantage, using that, looking for the emails that Mr. Miller sends out, and then we will, I'd love to see you all there. And one last plug, the concession stand is always looking for support, helping with the concession stands. So look up, if you're on Facebook, you can go to the Boosters page. Yeah.
Missy, this is for you, actually. Is it possible, like when the choir concerts are scheduled and the drama shows and the games and the things, is it possible to just have those added to the calendar, like our calendar that you add these meetings to?
Yeah, we can certainly do that. We, Chief Communications Officer Andrew and I are working on potentially putting a calendar together with all of the events district-wide that they'll all land in one specific area that we can access.
And it could just be attached to ours that we already have, so it just shows up, so I go,
That's the
oh,
goal.
look. Okay, great.
Yep, that's the goal.
Love it.